All right, welcome back, crime fighters. It's your chance to help make Calhoun County a better and safer place by helping us lock up the bad guys. I'm Chris Wright, along with our Chief Deputy, Lindy Meter from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Good to see you, Lindy.
Good to see you.
Happy November, I guess. Now we got Halloween out of the way. We're into the month of Thanksgiving now.
Yes, and a lot of events in November. Time is flying by.
Of course, one of the biggest events will be Thanksgiving. And with Thanksgiving, we always get the big turkey fry at the Sheriff's Office. We are doing that again this year, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so what do we need to know? I know there's going to be a lot of people asking questions about the turkey fry and how they get involved in that. So what's the deal?
Right, it's going to be November the 27th. We'll have the turkey fry at the Sheriff's Office as normal. The office will open at 8 o'clock, but usually people are lined up 7:30-ish, lined up down through the parking lot. You'll bring in a thawed-out turkey.
Yeah, don't bring a frozen turkey.
No frozen turkey.
It might freeze along with you while you're standing out there in line, but make sure the turkey is thawed when you bring it.
Right, and there's some stipulations to it, which we'll post those on our webpage and put it on Facebook, but they want it to be 17 pounds or less just for cooking, and there is a requesting for a $15 donation, and those proceeds go to the Alabama Baptist Children's Home.
So this is a great deal. I've had turkeys fried several years, and always delicious. Nice, easy way to get it done and to avoid the pitfalls that you can have trying to fry that turkey at home,
Yes.
because every year you see people that try to fry that turkey and they end up burning their house down.
Oh yes, you can see the YouTube disasters all day long.
Yeah, so avoid that. Help out the kids at the Baptist Children's Home there, and of course they get some of the turkeys as well, don't they?
Yes, we also donate turkeys there, and then we also too donate turkeys to members of the deputies with the DSA. So.
All right, so we'll talk some more about that as we get a little bit closer to Thanksgiving, but go ahead and put that on your calendar. Right now, let's talk about what our viewers have done in the last week, Lindy.
All right, we've got 5 more arrests for this week, which brings the total up to 4,485 for the week.
All right, getting ready to hit that 4,500 milestone,
Yes.
and then we'll be heading towards 5,000. Wow. That's a
a
lot
lot.
of folks. Our viewers have done a great job
Yes.
over the years. All right, we need to take a quick break. When we come back in just a few minutes, we will have the first half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, let's get started with this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. If you recognize somebody and have information about where we can find them, please call Calhoun County Crime Stoppers. Zach Walker of Jacksonville is wanted for child support. Jerica Talent of Jacksonville wanted on a failure to appear warrant for theft of property, 3rd degree. Jennifer Thomas of New Brockton is wanted on a failure to appear warrant for burglary, 3rd degree. Angelia McKee of Newell is wanted for failure to pay for possession of a controlled substance. Crystal Nichols of Leeds wanted on a failure to appear warrant for obstruction of justice using false ID and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. Jimmy Clark of Delta wanted on bond revocation for possession of a controlled substance and possession of marijuana, 2nd degree. Wayne Poole of Piedmont wanted on bond revocation for possession of a controlled substance, possession of marijuana, 2nd degree, and use and possession of drug paraphernalia. That's the first half of this week's lineup. We'll have the second half here in just a few minutes. The number to call if you have information is 256-238-1414. All right, Lindy, a lot of folks have noticed that John Garlick hasn't been on the show lately. Some
Yes.
people may not realize that he is retired from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, he is.
And you've got part of his job now.
Part of it.
You're the chief deputy, but John wore a few different hats, and one of those hats was mental health officer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a little gap there where we didn't have a mental health officer, but we've filled that gap now,
Yes,
haven't
we
we?
have.
Carl Moses is welcome on the show now. Good to see you, Carl.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, so the new Calhoun County Sheriff's Office mental health officer. For people that don't know what that job is, you're just getting to know that yourself.
I am.
aren't you?
I am. Yes, sir.
Can you tell us all the qualifications on the job description?
I can tell you a few of them.
Why do we need a mental health officer?
Well, I think we need one for a variety of reasons. One is we help our deputies and the other law enforcement around when they encounter people that need help and we're also here to help the family and friends of people who may need mental help but aren't able to get it through any other source.
The percentage of people that have encounters with law enforcement and have some kind of mental health issue, it's a big number. I don't know what the number is, but I know it's a big number.
Yeah, I don't know what it is exactly, but I would agree it's high. And for us, it's a lot of repeat customers because you know, they haven't been able to get the help that they need. So that's what we're here to do. And
just locking somebody up doesn't fix a mental health issue, does it?
No, it does not.
And then that problem, we talk about recidivism, and there's a big $5 word for you, but what we don't want is for one mistake to ruin somebody's life, or for that person that keeps on making mistakes to be ruining other lives around them. We want to find a way to stop those mistakes from happening.
Correct.
And if possible, even before they happen, because there are some situations where you can see it coming,
right?
But if you don't have a mental health officer that's trained, qualified, certified, then there's a limit to what the deputies can do.
Yes, there is.
So what are some of those situations?
Well, like you said, in times past, there would be sometimes there's no other option than for a law enforcement officer to feel like they have to take action, so they have to lock these people up in jail. But like you said, they're not getting the help that they need. Well, where we come in, they can call me and we can evaluate what's going on with the person. If they're being a danger to themselves, a danger to their family or anything like that, then we can seek an alternative method instead of jail and maybe get them to a hospital or to a doctor to seek treatment.
Lindy, it's about keeping the public safe. That
It is.
includes everybody that you're dealing with.
Right, and mental health, it's a serious illness, and you know, you're dealing with people that are committing crimes, but they don't know what they're really doing because of the illness, and so putting them in jail is not the solution. And having a mental health officer and Highland Health to come down to, they also come down to the jail and do evaluations and assessments that way, and like, you know, Carl said, you know, and seek other treatment that's best for them and best for the families.
And that's a point. It's important not just out in the community, but inside the jail as well, to have that mental health.
Right, and you know, being the mental health officer, he's also available for other agencies to assist them, and for the families of people that are diagnosed with a mental illness to give them guidance on the procedures and process of what needs to be done.
Yeah, a lot of folks don't have any clue how to handle a mental health issue in their family, do they?
I would say that's correct. A lot of people that do contact us are pretty stressed because they don't know where else to turn.
Mm-hmm. And we don't all get that training. It's one of those things that we don't like to talk about, but you've got to have places that you can go to get some help to deal with these situations, because they do come up and a lot more often than a lot of people think, and it's not just in one part of the community or one kind of family or anything. It happens across the board.
It does, yes.
All right. So what are some of the things that people need to be looking out for in their family, to where they might say, you know what, I need to talk to somebody that can help us?
Well, the biggest thing is when somebody starts to act, obviously in ways that they've never acted before. There are some common ones. You know, we have some of the common complaints are they're seeing things, they're seeing people that aren't real. They're talking about harming themselves or talking about harming other people. Those are some of the big ones that if you see those kind of things, you need to pretty quickly reach out and try to get help.
And sometimes we see those things in person, and sometimes we see it with our friends on social media, which can be a little bit tricky.
Yes, that's tricky. You know, platforms like that allow people to post all sorts of things, and legally it can get a little muddy as to who's actually posting what. But if you see it, we would much rather you call us and just let us know about it so we can look into it.
Mm-hmm. And I've seen folks complain. Somebody reported me for my post or whatever. Well, you know, a lot of times they're worried about you.
Right.
And I'd much rather, you know, try to help you than ignore it and just think that the problem's going to go away.
That's it.
All right. We need to take a quick break, but we want to talk some more about this. We will be back in just a few moments. We'll have the second half of this week's lineup as well on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, here we go with the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Nicholas Lee of Birmingham, wanted for child support. Colby Craighead of Sylacauga, wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. Lisa Kirk of Glencoe, wanted for possession of a controlled substance and use in possession of drug paraphernalia. Jonathan Davis of Gastonia, North Carolina, wanted on a failure to appear warrant for possession of a controlled substance, resisting arrest, attempt to elude, and use in possession of drug paraphernalia. Kiera Sanders of Pell City, wanted on a failure to appear warrant for possession of marijuana, second degree. Wesley Tidwell of Center, wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. That's this week's lineup. If you have any information about anybody in this video, please contact Calhoun County Crime Stoppers at 256-238-1414. All right, we'll have our Crazy Criminal of the Week in just a few minutes. Also, our Crime Stoppers segment. We've got several property crimes that we need your help with. But right now, we're introducing Carl Moses to the community as our new mental health officer for the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Carl, why don't we find out a little bit about your background? How did you end up in this position?
Well, I have worked for the Sheriff's Office for going on 13 years, and I've done a little bit of everything. I started in the jail as a law enforcement officer. I've done investigations. I have a background in patrol, and this just was the next step.
All right. So what about the mental health aspect of the job has really appealed to you? What brings you to that?
Well, I just think that there's a giant need. You know, as we said before, there's encounters that we have in the course of our duties that we see people that really need help, and maybe they don't have family or friends to look out for them, or whatever may be going on. But there's a giant need there, and we like to be able to help.
Lindy, I know that makes a huge difference for a deputy or any law enforcement officer when they encounter some of the worst situations. It's horrible when you have to leave knowing that nothing's really been fixed.
Right.
And sometimes that's just the case. But having a mental health officer on staff, you're going to have more of those occasions where you can actually put something into motion that's going to lead to a positive conclusion.
Right, because the most average officer or deputy does not have training in mental health, in dealing with mental health. So when you respond to a scene or dealing with a person that does have a mental health illness, sometimes you don't know what to do. And so having that assistance available just by a reach of a phone call for the next guidance on the next step of what needs to be taken, that's a major issue.
And Carl, we talked about the fact that you're going to be available for individuals and organizations in the community. Right. So if somebody has a reason that they want to reach out to you, how should they do that?
Well, I would say the first thing, if you have like an emergency, obviously contact your local law enforcement. If it's something that isn't quite that serious, you have somebody that you are concerned about, you can reach me at the Sheriff's Office, call the main line of the Sheriff's Office, and tell them just a little bit about what you have going on, and they will put you in contact with me, and from there we can evaluate what you have, and if need be, try to assist you in the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are going to be people that are in situations where they think, well, I really need some help with this situation, but I don't want to call the sheriff's office and get him into that kind of trouble.
Yeah, we see that a lot where people feel like maybe it's not important enough to call, or they don't want to be involved for fear of the family member or friend being mad at them for involving law enforcement. The first thing I would say is that if you're seeking help for somebody, then they're not in trouble. Although they could potentially get there if you don't seek help for them. And that's the most important thing, is if you have a loved one or a friend that needs help and you don't take action, you could inadvertently be leading them towards the trouble that you don't want to cause.
Mm-hmm. And when you're called out to a home or a business or wherever, you're not heading out there as any deputy or certainly as a mental health officer with the hope that, yeah, I hope I get to lock somebody up.
Correct.
That's not what you want.
Correct.
Yeah, you're looking to find the best resolution that you can, and Lindy, often that's going to be, something very different from locking somebody up.
Right, because putting them in jail is not the solution. It's not going to help. And that person, unless they are diagnosed properly or get on the proper medication, they're still in the same situation. So having that process of going through it and to try to get what's best for them and best for their families.
And of course, sometimes people do need to be detained, and sometimes it's a need to be detained somewhere other than the jail.
Right.
And with a mental health officer, you're able to help facilitate that in a way that's going to work better than locking up in jail, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we can get you the help that you actually need. All right, well, Carl, we're glad that you're stepping up to this new role and wish you the best of luck with it.
All right, well, thank you.
All right, folks, get in touch with him. If you need him, give him a call at the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office, and we will be seeing how that role just continues to evolve.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the second half of this week, we'll have the Crime Stoppers segment of the show and our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. All right, let's take a look at some property crimes that we need some information on here in Calhoun County recently. Between October 29th and October 30th, a large amount of currency was stolen from a residence on New Liberty Road in Piedmont. On October 30th, gasoline was stolen from vehicles at a residence on Piedmont-Jacksonville Road in Piedmont. A suspicious tall white male with a beard was seen at the barn before running away. On October 31st, a burglary occurred on Shady Lane in Jacksonville. Unknown persons cut electrical wiring to a camera system. A suspicious black male wearing a red puffy jacket and another unidentified person were seen prior to the burglary. On November 1st, a home located on Pelham Lane in Alexandria was burglarized. A PlayStation 4 and 2 controllers were stolen. Between October 24th and October 29th, unknown persons burglarized the old Cedar Springs School on Cedar Springs Road in Jacksonville. The inside showed evidence of vandalism, including names signed to one of the chalkboards. And between November 1st and November 4th, a storage building at Weaver High School on Claremont Drive in Weaver was burglarized. Paint was taken from inside, then it was used to vandalize a school bus inside and out, another building, sidewalks, and light poles. Cameras on the bus were damaged. Between 1 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. on November 5th, numerous vehicles were broken into on Hawk Pass in Anniston. A backpack and headphones were reported stolen. If you have information about these cases or any other crimes committed in Calhoun County, please call 256-238-1414.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, so Lindy, one of the things that if you are a criminal, one of the things that you generally don't want to do is draw attention to yourself.
No.
Okay. In some cases, you might not think everything through, and we've got a case here in Alabama, actually Limestone County, Alabama, where an individual put his trash out, and the person collecting the trash knows, hey, there's a lot of cash in this trash. Now that's going to attract some attention, right?
I would think so.
Now, upon investigation, the garbage collection person noticed that the cash actually only had print on one side and the other side was blank paper. This is what we call a clue, right?
Just a little bit, just a little bit.
He was smart enough to
They were playing Monopoly.
Yeah. He let law enforcement officials know that, hey, this guy's throwing away some half-printed money. So sure enough, they showed up at his house, and he was printing counterfeit money and had a significant amount there at the home. But they also estimate that a significant amount of this counterfeit money has been circulated out into the community already.
Oh, wow.
So, that's here in Alabama. Be on the lookout for the counter. What should people do if they encounter money, if they end up with something in their wallet or purse that they think, oh, I'm not sure this is real? What do they do?
Well, you can take it to the bank and get them to check it to see if it is real, or bring it to the sheriff's office. If it is counterfeit money, what you would turn it over to local law enforcement, and then we turn it over to Secret Service. They can track, the serial numbers, things like that. Sometimes you're able to catch a person that may be making counterfeit or in possession of it, but if you're just a random person that happened to get a counterfeit bill, I mean, you're not going to be prosecuted.
Not going to be prosecuted. You're probably not going to get the value of that money
You're not
either.
going to get the value of that money back either. That's what's
Yeah.
unfortunate, is that, depending on the denomination of the money, you may be out $5 to $100 or whatever what it is.
But then again, if you recognize that it is counterfeit and then you try to use it,
Then you're going to get in trouble.
yeah. So even though you don't want to lose that money, if turn it in.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's going to come out a lot less
Yeah.
cheaper than that.
All right, that's all the time that we've got for this week. We hope that you have gained some information here, and we appreciate all of your help. We'll be looking for you again next week, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.